Hey, first off, I want to wish everybody a happy Saturday morning. Um, what kind of inspired me just to get up and talk this morning is I saw President Trump yesterday where he said BRICS was dead and that they would impose 100% tariffs on these BRICS countries. Well, that's a lie, which shouldn't be new considering the source. That's a lie. These countries have been preparing to separate themselves from the United States for quite a while. What you also got to realize too is that two of the countries, India and China, are formerly colonized countries. Africa is a continent, but hell, we have 5 countries in Africa that are BRICS countries, which are some of the biggest countries there. You're talking about Ethiopia, Egypt, South Africa, Uganda. Nigeria. Those are BRICS countries. BRICS compromises about 65% of the world's population. I'm sorry, America, G7 is like about 17%. Maybe a little more. I could be a little off, but it's not much more. Point being is that BRICS doesn't have to play ball with the U.S. at all, and they're not. They're not going to play ball with us. When you look at how the U.S. is scaling back on everything and trying to hoard all their money, it's because they know it's coming. They're not telling us the decline of our economic situation is coming, but they know. The rich of this world, why do you think they're making the moves they're making? They're trying to secure their interests. This is why you see Elon Musk, led by Peter Thiel and other rich oligarchs in America, especially from the tech end. They're trying to secure their money. And this is what's going on. Our economic situation is declining. We're going to be in a totally different situation. Inflation, as we see it today, this is only the beginning. This is going to get worse. And the sad part about it is we have a completely inexperienced government handling our end. So when you expect the worst. I'm just sorry, you can't put inexperienced people in a position that requires a lot of thought and actually smart people. You're not just smart because of your IQ, you're smart because of your knowledge. And unfortunately, we're in trouble when it comes to that. Now, as far as like the situation here, that like even us Black Americans, what we face is that we're going to maybe bear the brunt, or the Republicans are going to need our help. It's going to be one or the other. I say the brunt of the African nations that are separating from America as far as economically. Like the pulling U.S. aid and the sanctions that are being put on South Africa, or the reason he's saying it because of South Africa's land appropriation bills. That's not what it is. He's trying to send a message to African countries, that if they keep going along with BRICS, that the United States will take action. Well, the sad thing is, this has already been, they're prepared for this. This has already been planned. They're not worried about the sanctions. You saw Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, told Trump, well, keep your aid and we'll keep our minerals. They're already prepared. Actually, aid to South Africa only amounts to about 70%, so 17%. They got that covered. And see, you have to look at the BRICS nations, which are headed by China. They're operating the same way as NATO does, except for NATO says, well, if you invade one, you invade all of us. The thing with the BRICS nations, they're not looking at this militarily. They're looking at it economically. So if you cut off one, the rest of us will be there. And these countries, they know they know that the United States will retaliate against them for joining BRICS. And the fact that they still do it is because they have assurances from the other countries. And as I said again, who would you trust more? The majority of the world, which is BRICS comprised of 65%, or America and Europe, which comprise maybe 17 to 20%? Who do you think is going to most benefit you in the end? And not only withstanding, why would these countries take that chance? Well, they're going to take that chance because they see an opportunity to get away. I mean, unfortunately for Europe and the U.S., they didn't lead a inclusive type of, they didn't have an inclusive type of relationship with the countries that they worked with, that they received their minerals from around the world. They got their minerals from, that really helped build the economy. They didn't look at those countries like that. They never got out of the colonizing spirit from the Berlin Conference when they cut Africa up. I mean, they did that in Africa, but it was the same thing happened in India, parts of China back then. Well, China, India are coming together. They're working together. Africa's going into the fold. Once you get Nigeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa, hell, I mean, that's it. Once they get the conflict taken care of in the Sudan, once that's, I mean, in the Congo, I'm sorry, once the Congo-Rwanda war, once that's solved, which they're going to solve that peacefully, it's even going to grow more. And I talked about those 5 countries, but you have to look at the countries even down in the Sahels. You talk about Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, I mean, Benin, even Senegal. All those countries down in West Africa, they've evicted the French from their territories. They're fighting for their sovereignty. And the thing is, they will trust China. They will trust Russia. You know why? Because China and Russia hasn't previously oppressed them. So, America and Europe finds itself in a very, very bad way. And I mean, there's actually, and there's no escape from the situation. That's the bottom line. There's no escape from it. They're stuck because when you've oppressed people for so long, which as Black Americans here in America know, the same thing they've done to us for 400 years, they've done to these countries. We know that we can't even protest. I mean, if you step up to the mic and you become a big advocate for your rights, for anti-American system, for anti-colonial systemic racism, you become unalive. That happens here. I mean, we look at Medgar Evers, we look at Martin Luther King, we look at Malcolm X, we look over in Africa at Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara. I mean, this is just what happens. I mean, it's just what happens. And it's unfortunately, it's a situation that America finds itself paying for past actions. This is the whole thing. We call it karma. You could call it, reap what you sow. The thing about your actions at any time, whatever you put out there, it's yours. It's going nowhere. You own those. And I'm not speaking to people that have no idea what's going on. The thing is, we know. We live, I mean, of course, a lot of young black people, they don't understand exactly what happened in the 60s and 70s. I even hear some refer to the civil rights movement as something ancient, not realizing that those civil actions against are still going on. They're just tailor-made. They've learned how to work it through media, and they know how to give us certain things. It's like I saw a thing, I actually read a post where I want to say that I read the post I read, what it amounted to was Joseph Stalin had this chicken that followed him around that was bleeding, had been plucked, had been kicked, but the chicken always followed him around. And when asked about it, he said, oh, as long as you give him a little feed, they will follow you no matter how bad you treat them. And unfortunately, I mean, and the whole thing, even let me get to this. When it comes to colonization, people of color, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, we bear the brunt of it. But so do the white people here. As you see right now, as they see where they're getting kicked out of mainstream, the white mainstream being regulated to the lower end, where they're having their rights and their money and their property taken from them. Well, that was bound to happen. It's the same thing as you even look back, like doing all the war on drugs in the 70s and stuff. They just put everybody in jail. Let's just arrest them. Because it was all black people, it was all Hispanics, you know. But here we look at now, we have this fentanyl epidemic, which is not in minority neighborhoods, and they're losing their mind. Well, because they never put nothing in place. The thing to do was to put things in place not to stop the trafficking, but to help the mental health problem that's related to it. They didn't do that, so now there's a fentanyl epidemic. All I'm saying is that we find ourselves in a really, really precarious situation. I think us black folks need to kind of like, as we've done, step back and let these people proceed and find their way. Because I promise you, not like us, because we know that white people in America are way more entitled than we are. They feel way more entitled. So we know that they're going to protest, they're going to raise hell, and we could do support, but don't step out front. It's going to be a tough time. It's going to be a tough time.